It's your host, Mary Mel, and you're listening to Fast Fashion, the podcast experience from What Are You Wearing? We're here in the studio with Chicago fashion designer Tyler Lambert. He's sweeping the industry with his innovative designs and placing a mark on the industry's competitive atmosphere at an impressive young age. He's here to share with us his journey in the fashion industry, being the founder of his own clothing line, his designs being worn on various celebrities, and his aspirations for his brand. All right, let's dive into it. So, Tyler, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, just the whole background.
Oh, gosh. Okay. So I'm Tyler, obviously. I'm not from anywhere like too special. I'm about 2.5, 3 hours north of Chicago, so it's Wisconsin. I'm from Green Bay area, this little town called De Pere. It's like 15,000 people live there, so don't expect anybody to know it. We have like 3
Wisconsin
grocery
Dells?
stores and a gym, a YMCA, nothing different, but that's where I grew up. So I grew up there from birth to 18 years old. We didn't go on family vacations. We never went out of the state. I went to Chicago maybe twice when I was in high school. And I was a homebody. I didn't know anything too much else besides home.
Right.
Because it was kind of odd for us to travel. So, you know, my mom, when I was 10, my sister bought a diner that, like, went in for closure. And so her and my mom, like, she bought it, obviously. My mom works there still, and so does my sister. She still owns it. But so I was a diner kid, and my dad was a mailman. So not, you know, just kind of, like, not your average, but, like,
American suburb
100%
family.
American kind of lifestyle. So, I mean, nothing weird growing up. I mean, I was always kind of into art and always in school. Like, my sister would do some art stuff and, like, I would dabble in it when she would do it, and she's like 8 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
But I was always like that weird kid. Like, I was like,
How did you dress? How did you dress in high school?
well, when I was, like, younger, I didn't have any choice. Like, I have 3 sisters. So, like, from all 3 sisters being, like, girly girls, I was, like, a Tommy Hilfiger, Oshkosh Bagosh kind of, like, kid. But that kind of got me started. So, like, when I got to kind of, like, middle school and definitely going into high school, like, I was, like, on social media. Like, I had a Tumblr when I was in middle school, I remember. And I was, like, obsessed with Tumblr. So when I would be tumbling, I was, like, going to the flea markets on Saturdays. I remember I would, like, get, like, these dream catchers, and I would, like, put them on necklaces and wear them at school.
You thought you were so cute.
I thought it was super Tumblr, super, like, boho. I was so boho.
You were so indie.
But, like, that's all I knew. Like, everybody surrounding me, like, creative from my area would do, like, kind of, like, those, like, boho wedding portraits or, like, boho senior pictures.
Because there's a lot of, like the trees and the nature there. Like,
yeah. So
no
people are pretty,
skyscrapers.
like, you know, like Bon Iver, kind of, like, slow pace.
Yeah, more like Portland. It's like a Portlandish kind of vibe, maybe.
Like, not even as hip. Like, not close. But more like beer and bar Portland.
I went to camp in Wisconsin, so I totally get exactly where you're coming from.
Right.
It's in the middle of fucking nowhere, so.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you want to go to something urban, I mean, like, the only Urban Outfitters close is, like, 120 miles.
In, like, a weird outlet.
No, it's in Milwaukee. Milwaukee's kind of urban, but
It's chill.
it's all right.
Yeah.
But that's how I grew up. And then in high school, I just was like, F it, honestly. I went into high school just as open-minded as could be. I was like, it can't get worse. Middle school was, like, the worst. So I was like, whatever, it can't get worse. And I think going into it, like, I went into it being like, all right, I'm going to school. I'm doing all this stuff with school. I'm going to be in the art program. I'm going to take art club, whatever. I think that allowed me to, like, have my foot in the door being like, okay, we accept this kid. Not like I didn't have, like, a crazy hard, I mean, everybody has issues and bullying growing up. Besides that, but I think going into it, knowing what I liked and already knew myself, I think was, like, such the early stages of the brand.
You just giving a fuck gave you, like, your brand, basically. Like, not giving a fuck at all about what other people kind of
I think
say.
I gave a fuck at, like, from like freshman to about junior year because I was so about like the underage parties
Yeah.
and like whatever. And it wasn't until my best friend passed away that it was like, oh, fuck, Tyler. Like, you need to get your crap together. So senior year came along and I basically graduated high school early. I went to college in the like a private college in town. I took like private art classes like with like other college kids, and
Right.
I was doing the brand this whole time. Meanwhile, while I'm talking about like me having issues in high school, I started the brand was out in middle school, and the brand was Dollhouse Studio by Tyler Lambert in
DHS.
8th grade, DHS, and that stuck around for quite some time. But I'd put out 2 collections a year. Fashion, I would style, shoot, everything you would see.
That's amazing.
And I would do it throughout high school, and I put it on Facebook, Instagram, whatever.
Right.
And I just used social platforms. Not like I'm like a social media queen or anything. It's just like I was already using them at such a young age and,
Right.
and expressing that and just putting it out there. I think that's 50% of like the battle is just like, okay, I'm going to put this out there
Right.
as it's you. Like if you're making it and you're saying, okay, you're labeling it with your name, that's you. Rather than like wearing, like it's your style if you're wearing somebody else's clothes.
Right.
But like when you're making the clothes and like you have all the creative direction behind an idea, it's more than just wearing a piece of clothes.
I understand.
I think it's like more difficult, I think, for me even now than when I did it back then.
Even now,
you
right
become
now.
harder on yourself.
Of
harder
course.
and harder and harder and harder.
Of course.
So
Actually, I feel the same way. I get those moments sometimes, like if you really care so much about your career, and I always say this to people, I'm like, you are so lucky that you are doing what you love to do.
Right.
A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people don't have the balls to just say, fuck it, whatever. I'm gonna go for it. Every day, like waking up, it's just kind of like, holy shit, I like really get to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like the most humbling part about it, but you have so much pressure on you, especially with social media. Are you serious? Like I can't even keep up with things anymore. I like
Right.
look at my phone, I'm like, oh, another brand, another designer. They're like popping out of like the weeds completely.
they're the weeds, girl. Anybody can be a designer.
Anybody can be a blogger. Anybody can be a
Really?
model now,
Mm-hmm.
an influencer, you know? So it's just, how do you deal with that? You know, how do you deal with kind of keeping up with everything? Does it get sometimes like really hard or?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think last week even, like, I just had, like, kind of, like, a moment where I was just kind of like, I need to step back. And that's why I, like, went up north to, like, be with my family. Kind of, like, where it all started, because there wasn't a lot of that where, like, the town where I grew up and, like, where I was, when I was doing it back then, and, like, it was, I didn't have any of those issues. And now, like, I live in a city and, like, I can get to other cities faster and whatnot. It just makes word to mouth more mobile,
Of
social
course.
media more mobile. And sometimes, honestly, you can't deal with it. Like, people, email me on the daily all the time. Like, I'm an influencer. I would love a free piece. Here's my address. I mean, great that you have the balls to do that, but like,
Yeah.
I'm like, from like, okay, like sometimes I feel like I'm like, fuck you guys. Like, if you're interested in the brand, like if you're interested in a brand and
You
you
would
want to
invest
like
in it.
request something free or anything like that, if you aren't like a singer, a performing artist, or a celebrity who doesn't literally have the time to even go on their own Instagram or their private Instagram
100%.
to have the balls to say that. And I give it to him for having the balls, but second of all, I'm like, if they knew me, like I'm always like, if they knew me, like I didn't come from that, and I would never ask that from somebody else.
Oh my God.
I
My
wouldn't-
words exactly.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, I have 3,000 followers on Instagram. I'm gonna email him asking for something free. Not even introducing, be like, hi, I read like your articles on like Teen Vogue and like I've been watching your brand for X amount of years. It's just like, I love your brand, love to collab. Here's my bot and followers.
Love to collab. The best sentence.
And
there
I'm
is.
kind of like, and although like collaborations and partnerships and branding is like so important to us, and I think we're getting way better at doing it, difficult even to deal with those daily emails like that, because it's just like I can't be a rude person because that's not where I'm from. But I'm also like, if they took the second to figure out like, hey, this is really where he's from, and like this is like, okay, he's not from LA. He doesn't have rich parents. This wasn't something he was handed to him. I wasn't a celebrity who was like, I'm going to start a clothing brand and be sold in multiple retail department stores around the country. I was a kid whose sister was deathly ill, whose parents were working all the time, who was raised by my grandparents, and I was sewing curtains together from my grandma's closet without her even knowing some of the times. And I was like photographing them and making clothes and just putting it out there, trying to like run away basically all the time from like family and all these emotions and stuff. Not, oh my gosh, I'm going to have a brand and I'm going to make so much money from it and it's a God-given talent. I honestly 100%. Think being a designer, it's like a gift.
Right.
You have it or you don't. And not saying that I'm the best designer. I don't think I'm the worst designer. I call myself a designer. I don't think a lot of the designers out there are designers. I think they are puzzle makers. They can put a puzzle together.
Or going with the trends, maybe.
They're a manager. Yeah. They're a celebrity. They're somebody. But that's my issue with social media, with all those influencers and YouTubers. And it's so easy to brand yourself now and to get that following. But is it authentic? Yeah. And I always stress that enough to even the people that I surround myself and that help me out with the brand.
Right. Well, I can relate to that just because I'm so young, and where I'm at, I actually just turned 21 2 days ago.
Damn.
So I know we out here. But I can relate to that just because my mom passed away 3 years ago from cancer. And when you lose a parent and when you lose anyone, when you have like a certain mindset of like death, people are sometimes kind of like oblivious to that, and just anything, going through any shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people have it so easy nowadays. So for the people who are working their ass off, like, I get why those emails piss you off.
They kind of just seemed like an easier way. Like they don't know it, so they just do it. And it's kind of like it's still that gunshot to your heart. It's kind of like, you're like, fuck you. You don't know what I fucking went through. Like, I'm not just like a rich kid from Winnetka, Illinois.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
There's a whole history behind someone for sure that people don't really give a shit to know about.
Right.
So let's go on to something a little bit more happier.
Oh my God.
Getting so depressing. Sorry, guys, if anyone's crying. Well, how did you get your inspiration for your pieces, first of all? And how did you get like such even amazing clients for it? When did everything just start even blowing up for you? What was the moment?
So I think, my inspiration always is my hometown. And not just my hometown, but just like where I'm from. I told you I was there for 18 years. There's a lot of grass. There's a lot of motorcycles and a lot of farm. A whole lot of farm. And a whole lot of big people, too. So,
like
fat, just like big personalities, big eaters, big drinkers, all of that stuff.
Those type of people.
But like with all those qualities, there's such branding opportunities. And even in the smallest little, cracks, it's Wisconsin. Everybody wore flannel. Everybody wore denim, Wrangler jeans, jackets, denim jackets, lacy curtains. Your grandma's kind of like
the white ones,
antique house. And I just have so many memories from my childhood and so many like distinct characters in my family, like characters. There were like family characters that these are just reoccurring memories and themes and ideas and places and that are just always in my head that I don't really consider like, oh my gosh, here's my mood board for my collection. Now I'm going to make pieces for this collection. And now I'm going to make those pieces in 6 different fabrics, but the same thing. I'm not your average like designer, and I knew that going into school. When I went to school in 2015, I went to the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. I didn't go into it being like, I'm going to learn everything, which I still didn't. But I went into the fashion program and I got in, and I was just like being taught this like bread and butter way of
Basics,
like
kind of.
being a costume designer and being a costume designer, runway designer. And I'm like, this shit is not me. Because all I know is I made a damn good final piece. Amazing. I made a pair of pants that had like 6 pockets on them in this ruched shirt. And there were like people next to me that didn't even dye their fabric, didn't even look like they
You were the
undraped
edge there. You were like the edge that they've
and
probably
I
never
got,
seen.
and I got, this is too commercial, and we're looking for a little bit more. And then I was just like, this school's not for me. I also part of Parsons and I got in, but I was like, if that's too commercial, SAIC being like this kind of like interesting, super artsy school, I was like, I'm not going to thrive at Parsons because it's really technical. So where's the middle? And that was, I think, the question that stumped me the most last year is, okay, I moved out. I was done with school. I was like, I don't want to move back to Wisconsin because I'm like, I like the city. I started to like the city life. So it's like, I'm going to move in with my friend. Okay, moved into her dorm. She was in this over the summer. We got evicted because they found out that I was living in her dorm. And then I found an apartment, and it had a room for a studio, and I moved in at the end of July, and school started in 3 weeks, and I was just like, maybe I shouldn't go back to school. I was just like, this isn't for me. And during this time where I was like running back home to Wisconsin, got evicted, making clothes, thrift shopping, sewing things together, making a collection, I get a really, really weird email that was just like, we want to be like, I mean, it was basically like the email that changed my life.
That was that moment.
It was just kind of like, hi, like, we're pulling your clothes for the Jenners, like, just so you know, these are the pieces we want. And I was like, oh, shit.
I'm like, am I high? Like,
I was like, for like a whole day, I'm like, what? Huh? What? And then, I mean, obviously she wore them all over Instagram last year, and like, I have now a great relationship with their team, and that's opened up so many doors for me, just because like people always want to be proven. Like, okay, so now that you're worn by her, other people now want to work with you, because it's like when you're put on that platform, until like you're put on that platform, people like just stab at you.
It's all about the credentials.
And so then when you're on a platform, then you have more eyes on you, and then everybody wants to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. Even though you still think that everybody wants to be a part of it, we still like all the time have issues with like stylists or like working with somebody or anything. Even when I kind of like, I worked my ass off to the top, but then all of a sudden, like, there I am at like 19 years old, and now I still work all the time with these people. Now it's like, it's not like, oh my God, it's like, oh, there's another request. Here's another style pull. Here's another celebrity thing.
Right.
Because now it's not like it's a daily thing. It's just kind of like, now it's like, this is the brand.
Yeah,
this is a brand.
Yeah.
This is what you do as a brand.
Yeah, it probably took a lot to sink in as well, like especially with like.
Yeah, just until now. I put those words.
Just until now, you're like, oh
together.
shit. Yeah, no, I can totally relate to that. I mean, to be able to style all these people, I've seen it. I've creeped on you so many times. Obviously, I follow you, but I see like Durrani, Tana Mojo. That was so. I was like, what? She wears his clothes too? And then there's.
I mean, even that. She just saw Kylie wearing the jacket and she bought one, and then like I literally became best friends with her. Yeah. Because we've just like kept a great relationship.
Right.
Random.
Over a piece of clothing.
Like,
that's pretty cool.
That's how much shit changes over like, your top.
That's amazing.
Who makes your top? What company is involved in that?
Which one is your most famous piece, you would say?
Denim jacket. Oh my God.
The ripped one, right?
Yes. I mean, like, what the? We actually did a
you
giveaway.
Like fucking hate making it?
We did a giveaway last week on my business profile and on my actual page, and I will tell you, I mean, like, Linda over here even will vouch for me. She was like, there's people commenting being like, I will sell my house for this jacket. I will give and then like we're getting emails like, I will cut my kidney out and give it to you personally for this jacket.
Okay, people are.
And it wasn't 1 or 2. It was like 100. Like, you don't know what I would do for this. Name my next born after you. I'm like, people, what?
Like, it's just me. I'm from Wisconsin. That's
And-
crazy.
But it's kind of cool to be like, yeah, that's kind of cool that you guys all know that.
Yeah. That is so funny.
But
That's crazy.
then I'm like on to the next. I'm like, she's crazy.
She's fucking crazy.
We're going through the comments. I'm like, okay, she's a nut job. She needs counseling. You need to, like, delete your Instagram.
Like, God help you.
Because if you're commenting those things, you need to be doing other things besides being on Instagram. So
Amazing. Well, okay, so obviously since a lot of young people have that aspiration to be a designer now, for those who do take that leap, like, what advice would you give them?
I always say, and this is kind of a tough question to answer, because I'm not going to be the nicest person again and say, oh my gosh, if you're an aspiring designer, here's advice to success.
We kind of touched on it a little bit. I know how you feel about that.
Because I don't think aspirations are always, there's always going to be like success and outcome.
Right.
Like, I did the brand for literally 8th grade till technically going into my sophomore year of college. So that being 6 years?
6 years.
6 years until something happened. So I know the whole like never giving up thing is like super overplayed.
Cliche.
But I
a little bit.
think something that you can take into advice about it is never giving up, but giving up on like something, some pieces of that aspiration that don't work, that
Right.
aren't proving that they're working.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, like even with my team, now that like, okay, like Tyler Lambert is becoming this brand, even if like I'm like, let's do jewelry, okay, let's do shoes, let's do jackets, let's do outerwear, let's do fur. And then like I get like so excited, and then I'm like, I need to calm down, this shit's not selling, like we're wasting money, like why isn't this moving?
Right.
And then these are all these dreams that I have of this aspiration. Then you're like, okay, it's not selling, stuff's breaking when it ships out, or like whatever. Then those are like those little
Right,
knives in
and-
your heart that are like, oh frick, maybe I shouldn't do that. Like maybe that isn't made for what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
And I think for people that want to be designers and want to do something in the creative industry, I think first of all, it's my best advice is to work under somebody. I never had anybody. I learned from nobody. My mom taught me how to sew, and my grandma. That they didn't teach me how to pleat, duct, anything, pin, pattern, all of that.
Right.
What the difference is sewing machine wise. But I think learning from somebody and taking that time to learn from somebody who is passionate and has proven success, like when I first had my first round of interns last year, it's almost like my other half of the day is like being able to like everything that I have learned, being able to teach that to somebody else that wants that same dream.
Right.
It's insanely like rewarding because you build that person's dream and you build like what they're actually wanting to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's, you know, it's not your typical like Devil Wears Prada internship
Of course, right.
or like a dreamer where like you walk in, it's kind of like you're running coffee or whatever. Like, yes, there are those moments where, okay, we have to scrub the floor because there was a spill, or like, you know, we have
Not
to
so
we have to
glam moments, and that's okay.
but that's life too. So I think learning from somebody who you look up to, or even like a fraction of that
Right.
looking up to, that you can relate to and work for and learn from, I think learning from in the design and creative field will completely drive your future and like further your dreams. Like, for example, like I had an intern, Olivia, who came in being like, I want to work making clothes. And I'm like, okay, like let's work together and try
Yeah.
to do this. She completely turned out not to do that. she completely turned into being like a social media queen and like a graphics queen, like a Photoshop queen and digital advertisement, ad space, marketing, internet guru. And I'm like, girl, you came in here while I'm making clothes.
Right.
But like, she's like, and then like, she like is in Australia right now. And on the last day, she tells me and Linda, she says, she handed us cards. And this is like the first time I ever got a card from somebody, like huge note, like being like, thank you so much for like everything. Like, you took my dream from like something I wanted to do. And now I know the place of what I want to do with my life.
It's amazing.
And like, I don't feel like I'm teaching. I just feel like I'm doing my job and like working.
Yeah.
But like, the fact that like I help somebody else in like a path and like she wants to now like be with the brand forever, and that is like where I'm from. I'm from a family. I'm from Wisconsin. I'm not from this kind of like lifestyle.
Right.
And I'm obsessed with like creating that kind of environment. So
I love that. I love that.
Learn from your peers, learn from your others, learn from your parents. Oh my gosh. I worked at a diner for 7 years.
I think everyone should work in food service once in their life.
At least. And more than a couple of months.
100%.
Like a year.
I think like with your story, I think I can take away from that everyone needs to you need patience, and I'm terrible with that, and it's a lot to admit, but patience is really, really hard to have, and setting your ego aside for a little bit, that's also very hard. And I think just by like listening to someone and having someone as your mentor, we can take that away from this.
Yeah, and even like, frick, you nailed it, honestly. Learn from somebody above, or even as equal.
I think being also observant, when we were talking about that social media stuff, I always say that it's a blessing and a curse, because you're like, oh, why am I so observant about this stuff? And like, I can see what everyone's like manipulation and all this bullshit that's going on. At the same time, you're like, I'm glad I can kind of like be different from everyone else, you know, like just being observant to like a certain extent.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I tell everybody, I'm like, put your phones away unless it's like social media stuff with the brand, but like, let's work on the clothes.
Yeah.
And I love this. I love what I'm doing. I'm so broke.
Oh my God, I'm in so much debt, and I'm
so
broke.
broke, and I'm so sad and so happy. All these emotions. So
I think everyone.
I think that's also something too. These dreamers can take away. It's not like you just wake up and you may see like these overnight successes or 15 minutes of fame,
Right.
but they had a journey too. Like everybody I think has a journey, and there's always going to be emotions involved. It's not like a crazy game-changing, like I'm going to go from being depressed if I do my dream, and if I do my dream, I'm going to be happy. There's always going to be battles. And I think especially in the creative industry, there's a lot more than like in like an ordinary workplace restaurant
100%.
gig. Like you're going to go back to the restaurant girl if you can't handle the creative fashion industry, because this place is a bitch.
I feel you. Tyler, thank you so much for even coming in and just taking the time to just talk to me about your journey and how you've come so far, and just letting us know like what Wisconsin boys do.
Wisconsin girls do it best.
Do they? Guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Fast Fashion. And just a reminder that Fast Fashion has expanded onto Instagram and Facebook, as well as our very own website. It's pretty dope. Make sure to follow the socials and check out the website for our upcoming episodes. For more information on Tyler and how to check out his website and designs, make sure to visit our site at fastfashionpodcast.com. Thank you for listening. And as always, stay chill out there, guys.